Slowly but surely, people are making their way in. Casey, you want to go to the next slide? Start moving things along. So how about the next one? So this is just a disclaimer that the webinar is being recorded. And of course, there is a lot of information that's going on. We do ask that everyone please keep their microphone muted during the presentations. And then afterwards, we're going to be opening up to all sorts of questions. We will, of course, want every and all questions. If you can't, if you don't want to hold your enthusiasm, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Especially that always helps me because I can then remember the questions as we move on through the presentation. So please feel free to use the chat. We'll definitely be referring back to that when it's time for questions. Okay, next slide, Katie. So just a little bit of our agenda here today. Of course, we have our initial welcome. Then I want to go over sort of a bit of what we're doing here, the programs that Expanding Frontiers offers, as well as, of course, our Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship program. Then Casey, who is the coordinator of that program, is going to go over some more details with that, the timeline, kind of what you would expect if you're joining the Entrepreneur in Residence program. Apprenticeship program, excuse me, and also then we'll get into our discussion session. So let's see, next slide. So this is just getting into why are we all here? Now I'm assuming many, if not all of you, are excited by this third age of human space development. Space technology is now at the point where startup companies can think boldly and develop new technologies, processes, algorithms, you name it, for space exploration and development. Startup companies, not big governments, not big established engineering companies, but small teams of entrepreneurs focused on adding value and sustainability are making an impact in this future. Now, this concept is sometimes referred to new space or commercial space, has been demonstrated to be here to stay by our neighbors just up the road here in 2020, when they successfully delivered two NASA astronauts to the ISS. Now, you just have to step back and think about what really happened there and how revolutionary that was. Now, previously, NASA would control all aspects of the flight and subcontract to engineering firms to build various parts, which NASA would in turn integrate together. But what we saw happening last year was that NASA effectively bought two tickets to the ISS on a private vehicle. All they said was, we want to get two astronauts to the ISS. And a private company was able to demonstrate that they were able to do that. That was the amazing paradigm shift. That is what says that the innovative ability of private companies can now be brought into space exploration and development, and it can work. Now, something I'd like to do, I'd like to point out that everything that we're seeing and the evolution and the involvement of private industry really was a conscious decision by NASA and the US government to move this technology to the private sector. We saw something like this happen in the 90s at the birth of the internet. The internet was actually a US government creation. It was created back in the 60s. And it was developed 60s, 70s, 80s. And it was in the 90s when the US government said, all right, it's time to move this into private hands so we can get the innovation that we expect private industry to bring to this. And it was in the 90s when what is now the big names of Amazon and Google were created. So we're really at that point in private industry right now where the government is saying, all right, let's take a step back, let's get the innovative capabilities of private industry involved, and let's see where this goes. Things I'd also like to point out, giving a nod in various directions, is a lot of the technology that we're seeing, the development that we're seeing, is not really new, and a lot of it is NASA or U.S. government proven technologies, especially these vertical landing systems that we're beginning to see now. Versions of this were demonstrated by big engineering companies. McDonnell Douglas developed the Delta Clipper experimental in the 1990s. But also in the 1990s, a team of entrepreneurs created the rotary rocket, another vertical takeoff and landing system by Gary Huxley. A lot of the technology that we're seeing, the development that we're seeing is not really new. And a lot of it is NASA or US government proven technologies, especially these vertical landing systems that we're beginning to see now. Versions of this were demonstrated by big engineering companies. McDonnell Douglas developed the Delta Clipper experimental in the 1990s. But also in the 1990s, a team of entrepreneurs created the rotary rocket, another vertical takeoff and landing system by Gary Huxley and his team. But I don't want to digress too much into the history of, into the amazing history of human space exploration and development. But as you've been seeing on this slide, the new space economy is currently around $3 billion and is expected to grow to $1 to $3 billion over the next decade or so. What does this mean? This means that there's a lot of opportunities for visionary entrepreneurs like yourself to play a role in humanity's push to becoming a spacefaring culture. Next slide, Casey. Now, something I would like to bring your attention to, since as an entrepreneur, sustainability is of the utmost importance. Many of the challenges in the space industry are mirrored in the energy industry, an industry which is already worth several trillions of dollars. Technologies have applicability on Earth, and technologies developed for the energy industry may have applicability in space. As an entrepreneur, you have to keep your eyes on all possible opportunities. And keeping your eyes on both of these industries, these closely related industries, has the potential to increase your chances of success, since it can broaden your customer base, and your investor base. At Expanding Frontiers, we emphasize this close relationship between space and energy. We work closely with groups in both camps, and we make sure our entrepreneurs are exposed to both industries, all in an effort to increase the chances of your success. So this brings us back to why we're here. Next slide, Casey. Expanding Frontiers is launching the Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program, a program designed for the South Texas community. Coming into the program, our apprentices are not expected to have all the answers. You're expected to be excited about building a company or developing a value-added technology. It is not expected that you have this technology or even a business plan in hand. Although, of course, we definitely want to work with you if you do. Through our team of mentors and investors and our relationships with NASA and the Department of Energy, we can provide you with possible technologies, even a roughed out business plan for you to try out, analyze, and hopefully turn into a viable startup. In addition, as an ExF apprentice, you'll have the opportunity to work with these existing startups on real-world problems to get exposure to how experienced entrepreneurial teams work and solve problems. With these internship-style opportunities, many of you may be even able to be paid a little bit for your time and effort to support your entrepreneurial activities. Next slide. So, what is Expanding Frontiers, and why is it we can say we can do all of this that we're bringing to you? Expanding Frontiers was created in 2019. We are a 501c3 nonprofit company. And we have in that short time already been recognized federally as an innovative incubator accelerator that is bringing novel ways of doing entrepreneurship to our entrepreneurs. We've been recognized by the FLC, the Federal Laboratory Consortium for Technology Transfer, for our innovative rockets and rigs programs. We've been recognized by the Department of Energy's EPIC Challenge for our being an a nationally or a federally recognized incubator accelerator with innovative ideas for bringing energy technologies to market. And recently, we've been recognized by the Department of Commerce through their Economic Development Agency. We've been recognized again as an innovative incubator accelerator that is poised to bring entrepreneurs bring their efforts to bear. So next slide, please. So we have several programs in the Expanding Frontiers ecosystem. The Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program is what I'd like to say is our flagship program. But we have many other programs that are built around helping to support what we're doing with our entrepreneurs as well as programs that reach out into the community, working with high school students, giving them the spark of that idea that yes, they could actually be involved in this next age of space exploration and development. But we're not going to go into too much detail into all of those right now. But I would encourage everyone to have a look at our webpage. I don't know if we have it on the page here, but definitely look at our webpage. You'll see the links in on various slides, www.expandingfrontiers.org, to see all of the various programs and so forth that we do have. Next slide, Casey. This just gives you an idea of the network of groups and companies that Expanding Frontiers is connected with and that we work with. As an entrepreneur working with Expanding Frontiers, one of the value adds that we offer is access to the mentors and investors that are associated with a very broad and rich network, both in the space and the energy industries. Next slide. So just wanted to introduce some of our team members here. We have, of course, there's myself, Dr. Frederick Genet. I'm the founder and executive director of Expanding Frontiers. We have Jane Lee Hicks, experienced entrepreneur, and was formerly at the Houston Technology Center as their acceleration director, and also led their space office that was over at NASA Johnson. Hey, Jane Lee. Jane Lee's waving hello. Stephen Gonzalez, technology transfer strategist, formerly at NASA JSC, formerly the Office of Tech Transfer, as well as many other activities throughout his 30-some-odd year career at NASA Johnson. I just want to say one thing about Stephen that's very much tied to what I talked about earlier in the presentation today. Stephen was the visionary at NASA Johnson that saw 15 years ago that NASA had to be prepared and ready for commercial space, and that I think, Stephen, you had said 20 years from now we will be buying tickets on a private spacecraft taking NASA astronauts. And of course, I know he has a big smile on his face because he was actually, his predictions came true in 15 years, so 5 years earlier than expected. So, which is a rare thing for people to be right so on the mark of that. So we're really happy to have Stephen as part of our team. And Sean Casey, I'm not sure if Sean Casey is on the call. Sean Casey is the founder, excuse me, the founder of the Silicon Valley Space Center. He is, like myself, trained in astrophysics, and then he went off to get degrees in business. And he is a fixture in the Silicon Valley space arena. And of course, we're really excited and happy to have him as part of our team as well. And of course, we have our program coordinators. Luis D'Artes is our Space Coders coordinator. Space Coders is a group of coders that we're developing that are specifically focused on space and space and energy related coding challenges. Brent Cole is our prototyping lab coordinator. So both of these programs would be accessible to our apprentices, having access to this pool of coders and having access to our prototyping lab to develop your technologies. Last but definitely not least, Ms. Casey Caballero is our Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program Coordinator. She has been putting together a Herculean effort to get this webinar together, all the slides that you're seeing, as well as everything about this program she's been putting together. So it's been really great to have her on the team and putting together all of the great stuff around the Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program that's going to help everyone on this call be a successful entrepreneur. So with that, Ms. Caballero, I'm going to hand the microphone over to you to tell us even more about this amazing program. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Dr. Jeanette, and thank you for that introduction. So everybody, welcome. It's very nice having you here and seeing everybody enthusiastic about the programs we're offering at Expanding Frontiers. The Entrepreneur in Residence program has a lot of the offerings that a normal incubator would have. We have mentoring from seasoned experts from the different companies that you learned about from the network. We have training for pitch presentations. We have networking opportunities available, a lot of hands on experience in the different process of business development and financial planning, financial statements. We're going to be having bi weekly seminars that will showcase what are the industry trends and a chance for professional growth by interacting directly with mentors. We have a lot of unique program features. And the Entrepreneur in Residence program offers uniquely the ability to look at NASA and DOE technologies that have been vetted by already industry experts and that are already primed for commercialization. So if you come into the program with an idea for a startup already, you are absolutely welcome. But if you just want to be an entrepreneur and you don't know where to start, we have the seats for you. So this is sort of a pre-incubation unique features that this program offers. We offers guidance on how to license those technologies. So it's not like we just say, here are the technologies. No, we guide you through the process of licensing them. We have access to prototyping lab facilities, including a makerspace, access to industrial grade software platforms such as Mathematica and MATLAB under the ExF partnerships. And we have technology development mentorships. A lot of our mentors are not only business development experts, but a lot of them are scientist backgrounds. So we'll be able to give you some mentoring and technology background along with other mentors that are very qualified. And we have better funding opportunities. We have a team that looks at different SBIRs and grant opportunities that may fit the company that you decide to create and will help you through the process to do that. So those are like unique program features. Another thing is that as part of the better funding opportunities, Expanding Frontiers is part of the American Made Challenge Network, which is one connected with the Department of Energy, as I said, to identify funding opportunities. Expanding Frontiers is also a National Security Technology Accelerator member and member of the Space Enterprise Consortium. So we're very well connected, and this program offers all of these connections, all of this expertise to you. One thing that Jane Lee told me the other day while we were discussing a pitch presentation was this is the great thing about having mentors. You don't have to spend many, many hours reading and relearning how to construct the wheel because you have people that have gone through it and grinded through that process and are ready to mentor you through it as well. So there are three main components to the Entrepreneur in Residence program. Of course, building your startup is component 1 and 2. Since you are coming here maybe with a very immature idea of your technology or just really receiving the technology from NASA, there's going to be some adaptations needed to go to market. And so we will be focusing on a track that also looks at tech development as well as business development. So the seminars and the the weekly meetings that we'll have will focus on this and guiding you. A lot of this will be on you, but we'll give you all the tools and the resources and mentorship and the time to check with us on your progress. Then there is a third component that Dr. Janet briefly mentioned is a sponsored company internship. So this program is very accessible to people that both have a full-time job or are doing this part-time or they're just deciding to do entrepreneurship. We are offering internships based on availability with the sponsored companies where you can earn a little bit of money while you pursue your startup. But these are open availability and they're optional. There are some restrictions for we have. So this takes me to eligibility. We have some participants that are interested in from Mexico, and you're welcome. If you want to take advantage of the sponsored company internships, you're gonna have to make sure that you have a permit to work in the United States. And I'll talk a little bit more about it briefly. But these are some of the milestones that we want each participant to hit. We're going to be having an orientation once you're accepted and going through the vetting process. We are going to be helping you develop your business plan and be ready to sell and go to investors through a course. But through that course, we have very different and important milestones that we need to hit. We need to make sure that you have an operator's agreement with your team and your company. We want to make sure that you are targeting the right audience and market through customer discovery, that you are developing your minimum valuable product, that you form your company eventually and go through graduation. All these steps you're going to be guided through, and these are the goals. The goal of this program is for you to successfully launch a startup from the DOE or NASA or a tech startup. So those are the big milestones. And this is an overview of what a cohort will look at a glance. We have started accepting applications and we're expected to start interviewing people around May 24 to the 26th. Applications are due on May 16, so if you have not applied yet, make sure to submit an application so that we can schedule an interview with you. Then we'll have a technology hackathon. The technology hackathon is going to be the one of the intensive requirements where we may want to do it on a weekend. We will check with availability of depending on the people that are accepted. But this technology hackathon is where you will get to play with the DOE and NASA technologies. You will start doing an overview of where do this technology fits. Is it commercially viable? Can I move ahead with it? And then we'll take you through the rest of the process. And eventually, in December, it will be graduation. So that will be the commitment. And it's not, don't think that, oh, it's a semester long, I have to be there 40 hours. No, we're going to have maximum 2-hour sessions per week, or bi-weekly, depending as we mature in the program. And you have very flexible time schedules, but it will be on you to continue working in your startup during that time. So what is the eligibility and cost? So you must be 18 years or older to participate. We have opened this to all aspiring entrepreneurs interested in space technology. We believe that everybody has what it takes to succeed, and we have the tools to make that a reality. So if you are interested in applying, apply. We'll work with you to find the best fit. If this entrepreneur residence program is not the best fit in our expanding frontiers, we'll look at all the other programs and see how we can help you. International students can apply. One of the restrictions, like I mentioned, is the job opportunities. You need to have a permit. If you don't, you won't qualify for the internship part, but you'd certainly will be able to take advantage of everything else. The cost. So there is usually a fee to participate, but we're offering this introductory offer where we are going to waive the cost of the course if you agree to sign a warrant on any company that is created. And we'll discuss more details about that as we move forward and you are accepted into the program. So what are some important dates? What are something to look out for? So we have had a pre-pilot model. We know that this system works. We're now ready to scale it up and launch it in the Valley. So we are opening up, we have applications open and you can apply in the website, which you'll get the links right now. The deadline to apply is May 16. So if you or you know somebody that is interested, make sure that they submit an application before then. We have about a little bit over 15 dates for them to them. The application is very straightforward. It asks for their background information, their aspirations, and resume. If they have a company idea, we do have asked that they describe it there. But if not, we'll work with them in the interview. This is a very personalized course and a very personalized program where we'll work with you. And so we're hoping our kickoff orientation is going to take place on June 16. And so interviews will be happening before that. So make sure that you apply or encourage people to apply. So I do want to thank you for listening and learning a little bit about Expanding Frontiers and the Entrepreneur in Residence program. Here are the links for social media and the website. I didn't put it, but it's www.expandingfrontiers.org. So, and if you have any questions, feel free to message me. So we're very good in time right now. What I would like to do is open this to a discussion. So this is a good time to voice your questions, comments, concerns, and have the people from the team address them. So with that, I open the floor.
Hi, Casey. Great presentation. We did have a question in the chat while you were presenting. The question was from Encarnacion. And the question is, if accepted to the program, what are the fees to join, or what percentage will Expanding Frontiers take from startups? Really good question.
I should mention that we're expecting for this cohort that no one would actually be paying those fees. And instead, there's a warrant agreement with the entrepreneurs that pertains to any companies that form as they come through this program. And I think we're still finalizing fees, so don't quote me on this, but the fees would be, I mean, the warrant agreement would take at most somewhere around 5%. it's 4 or 5% that's still being finalized. And of course, by the time you're involved in the program, that'll all be set. And the idea with the Warren Agreement is that if that is going to happen, it happens at the time of a first value funding round that the company may have. So, yeah, we can definitely talk offline individually about all of that, and that will be in the information packets after once you've applied and so forth. So. I just want to say I like the discussion that is that Joe Schmidt. Did I remember your first name right? Apologize if I didn't.
You're correct. Yeah, Joe.
Great points, by the way. And I'll just to point those out, that the space economy isn't all about what's flying in space, but there's an awful lot about communication, ground stations, getting information up to space. And there's also an awful lot about Earth observation, and there are possibilities for companies just to be developing data analysis techniques and providing value to people here on the ground using space-based assets. So there is a whole universe of opportunity, pun intended, that space entrepreneurs have access to.
Yeah,
so Joe,
yes, sir. I will just add to that. It's really hard to do things in space, and so if you can do things in space or directed, associated with space, you will have terrestrial applications too. Just like you mentioned, the energy industry, or specifically medicine. If you put in the words medicine in extreme environments or remote environments, or you put in energy production in extreme environments or remote environments, or education in extreme environments or remote environments, you can see where anything that you're developing for a new product or innovation or something else, if it's associated with space and you're successful to be associated with space, you will be able to transfer that to the widest range of use applications and environments. Over.
I'd like to add to that point, Joe. This is part of what I was going to do in an introduction, but a great example of what we're talking about here, if you keep up with the news, you know that carbon capture from industrial emissions and from the atmosphere could be important in tackling climate change and global warming. We hear about it almost daily on the news. But Exxon has said it plans to form a new business unit to commercialize carbon capture and storage, forecasting that it could become a $2 trillion market by 2040. And this, you can do carbon capture off of a smokestack, that's one thing, but trying to pull it out of the atmosphere, that's a much greater challenge. Of course, challenges are the things that are the problems that create opportunities for entrepreneurs to provide innovations to meet those challenges. Well, just this morning, I heard on the news that NASA's rover Perseverance accomplished the first creation of oxygen from carbon dioxide from the atmosphere on the planet Mars. So if we can do it on Mars, can we not do it here? ExF, Expanding Frontiers, we're about how do you connect these dots between the commercial opportunities that we see in both these industries and do this through entrepreneurship. And so as you can guess, it takes more than a village to do it. It takes an innovation cluster, which accesses resources across the board from aspiring entrepreneurs to mentors, advisors, collaborators, sponsors, and investors. So all of you, I'm so great. It's so wonderful to see a lot of my friends and new acquaintances on this webinar. But if you have an interest in space and energy innovations at all, I invite you to visit our website and join our network.
Jane, could I really say another thing? You made me really think of that. I didn't think of that until today. You know, the effort to really reduce CO2 emissions on the planet. If you can miniaturize that and put it into a spacecraft, you now have one of the largest components needed for life support. If we're going to travel to Moon and Mars and live there for 6 months to a year and a half and come back, CO2 is going to be the issue.
This is what we're doing, and what what ExF is looking at through these technology hackathons and rockets and rigs is we're taking a look at NASA's technology portfolio as well as the national labs for the energy industry. And we're pulling out these technologies that were all developed to meet certain problems and challenges, just as you're describing. And what you're saying is exactly why we chose energy and space to bring these two concepts together. And it's, as Rick has said, we've captured national interest from across the board, from the Department of Energy, as well as economic development. So it's kind of groundbreaking what we're doing here, along with this apprenticeship program. I don't know any other accelerator that really offers this type of service. There are few actual accelerators that accept the early stage incubation companies where you're just getting off the ground. But we're talking about individuals who just have a passion or an interest or want to get involved in a technology where you can come to as a cluster, an innovation cluster such as ExF, and have access to commercializable technologies, as well as training on how to develop these relationships with the national labs, with NASA, access and license these technologies and convert these into innovations and launch successful companies that are going to drive the future really for us on this planet. So I think it's super exciting. I'm sure you all share in that is why you're here. But there's a lot of ways in which you can interact with us, even with the apprenticeship program and our mentor program. We're always seeking new mentors, new advisors, anyone who wants to come on board and help drive this effort.
Awesome. Dr. Janet, we do have some more questions. One of them is, what manufacturing facilities does Expanding Frontiers have, and does ExF have expertise in electrical and mechanical engineering for collaborative development?
So we have a makerspace. That's what we call it, I guess, makerspace that has electronic fabrication and 3D printing capabilities. And we also, thanks to various funding sources, we can start to pull in equipment as needed. We've not been populating that yet because we're waiting to see what the needs are for our entrepreneurs, but we will be able to grow that lab as needed with sort of capital equipment that would include things, that would include PCB board fabrication capabilities, pick and place machines and that sort for developing prototype boards. And of course, we already have a 3D printer involved. We already have a 3D printer in the lab and various other sort of general prototyping capabilities. And so the team is experienced in developing all sorts of mechanical and electrical systems, and with our access to the university and our connection both with the local universities, UTRGV and TSC, we can get access to experts as needed in these areas.
Thank you. One other thing, another question was, from some of these startups, a tech development or product development space will be beneficial or required. Our company can provide that service. Would there be a way to partner, support, service these startups through this program? What will be the best mechanism for us to support this program so we can help advance these startups?
I think this is a fantastic discussion to have, Heath. And if you don't have my email, well, my email's on the presentation, fjanae@expandingfrontiers.org. I'll just put it here on we have it right there. There we go. Very good. Please send me an email so we can find some time to talk offline about that. This sounds really exciting.
Certainly. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Feel free to unmute your mic and ask, or put them in the chat. Both of those work.
I do want to ask, I have a couple of questions, but first of all, I want to thank you all for putting this together. My name is Inoue Flores. My first question is, will this presentation be shared?
Yes, I will be sharing this presentation. I will be uploading them to the website, but you should also receive an email since you're registered to the program.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question is the requirement or the expectation to be in the Valley or South Texas? I know depending on who you ask, South Texas is different. I'm currently in San Antonio, but do you have to be in Bronzeville or in the Valley area to participate?
So this, I would say, this is our. We've had a pilot program of this with local groups. This is our scale up, and I think we're going to be emphasizing people that can they can be here in the local area, especially those that would be able to, when COVID is finally gone, which we hope will be very soon, would be able to come to Expanding Frontiers, because of course the interpersonal communication is very important. But that being said, we're open on a case-by-case basis to look at applicants that are coming from the outside. And if it looks like it will be a good fit and it could be, we think things would work, I think we would welcome the opportunity.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
I'd like to point out that we have Mike Carey from Atlas Ground Systems joining us. So Mike actually represents one of the companies that Expanding Frontiers is working with. They're a very successful startup company in ground communications, providing communication services for satellites and for launches. And we're working with them to bring some of their capabilities down to South Texas. So, Mike, it's great to thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Rick. I'm really glad to participate. I'm always excited to be part of endeavors that you and Casey and company are spearheading. And I'm a huge advocate of entrepreneurial growth and development, and look forward to being a part of this success as well.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Any other questions? It seems like we'll be finishing in time. That's a new one for meetings in Zoom. So I was very glad to have you guys attend. I know that Dr. Jeanette may want to say some closing remarks, but I look forward to seeing applications from you. If you are not somebody that would be interested in applying, but you know somebody that would, make sure that you share this information with them. If you have students that are going to college, I know that Dr. Branford was here. She was my high school principal, and she keeps up and she keeps sending people to our program. So that's fantastic. And if any of you know of somebody, please don't hesitate to share their information with me or my information with them. Dr. Jeanette?
Well, thank you so much, Casey. And again, thank you so much for organizing the whole webinar and everything that you've been doing to make the Entrepreneur in Residence Apprenticeship Program successful. I also want to give a special thanks to Jane Lee Hicks and Stephen Gonzalez, who have been with us every step of the way as we're developing this program. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to say that we are at an amazing time in this third age of human space exploration and development. It's a time where it is opening up to all of us. It is not just in the hands of a special elite group. The technology is at a point where all of us can play a role. It doesn't just have to be a highly educated engineer or scientist. Business people, medical people, lawyers, any sort of field that you can think of. Architects, creative designers. It is all necessary as we think and dream, and as humanity moves forward and to becoming this spacefaring culture that we dream about and we see on the horizon. So please, really take advantage. Talk to us. We're here. Contact Casey. Contact myself to learn more about what we're doing at Expanding Frontiers. If the apprenticeship program is not for you, there are other things that might be. but really an amazing way to be a part of what is happening in this new age is to really grab this entrepreneurial spirit and play a role. So please, if you're not already convinced, keep talking to us. Keep talking to anyone here on the call. We want you to be involved. So please apply. Looking forward to working with you in the future. Thanks so much.